Good evening, Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey. And we've got a great interview set up for tonight. Going to give it about a minute or two here. Want to make sure y'all can see and hear me okay. And we're going to go ahead and get this shared out as well. Try to get as many people in here as possible. Hope everybody had a great day, stayed safe. Literally weathered the storm today because we had the tropical storm come through up here, which was fun. Even messed up my hair a little bit. It was a good one. Let's see. Perry, thanks for being here. Jim, what's up, buddy? Clown King's in the audience tonight. All right, we're loading up pretty quick in here. Freeze frame, I appreciate that. What's up, Scott? Appreciate you being here. Russell, you know I got to mess with you. You're going to do it with me anyway. I already know. All right, let me go ahead and drop the banner on here, and we're about to make this official. Steph's in here. What's up, Steph? All right, so we're going to make this official now. We are... All right, we're good to go. All right, so Demon Phil, Comics and More New Jersey. I'm going to go ahead and start off by thanking our sponsors coming into here, but this is a little bit different night because we're actually running under a different banner tonight. Tonight we're running under INDEEvent banner. The INDEEvent is something that was created along the lines of the Comics Advocating channel. They came up with the idea of, since we could not have the con down in Florida that was canceled, I think 3 weeks ago, they decided to come up with this. And instead of doing their own event, what they wanted to do is have everyone within the independent community get together, and whoever wanted to go up underneath their banner could go ahead and do that so that everyone else could see what's going on. It brings all of us together. So the INDEEvent banner is what I'm running under on this. If you want to know more information on this, look on Facebook for INDEEvent, INDEEvent, and you'll get all the information you need. It's running all this weekend. So that being said, now we're going to go ahead and go into my sponsors on this one. First and foremost, we've got Sub-Zero Mission. Everybody knows this is an important one to me because it actually saves lives by going ahead and getting the necessary tools that are needed to go ahead and survive the winter time in their particular area with these for the homeless vets that are out there. Totally Rad Comics, which has got Totally Rad Life of Violet #3, which is currently in Kickstarter and tearing it up. If you're not on that one already, you need to jump on that one. And there's more reason to jump on that one because of the other ones who are involved in this and crossovers. Next one up on that one is going to be Codex Entertainment, which is Lily the Demoness #4, which is Luis Torres, has that one on Kickstarter right now. Again, tearing it up. Jump on that one if you have not. Comic Art Groupie, which is Wendy Steen Shaner, has got Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins #4. Again, jump on that one. There's a lot going on with the crossover events on that. And there's another one as well, which is one of my guests tonight, which is CB Zane, has got Scorpiana 2, which is on there. Again, it is tearing it up, but if you're not on that one, jump on there. And if you go ahead and cross-promote between these, you get some really cool stuff. So it's definitely worth it because swag is always good. 183 Degree Studio, which is Kara Nicole and Alfred Trujillo. Confessions of a Cosplay Diva finished up a little while ago, and they're working on finishing up the project. So if you haven't had a chance to get onto that, look them up and get on there and get your stuff. We have got Third Empire. Third Empire has actually got Age of Remnants. Just came out on Kickstarter. If you haven't seen it, it is an amazing new look at some of the storyline that's in the comics. I did a review on it as well, and it got the Demon Seal of Approval, so definitely look into this one. And of course, Pantsless Pizza. If you're not aware that much of Pantsless Pizza, keep watching because there's more reveals coming. All right, it is official now. We're into this one. So tonight we're doing a panel interview, but it's going to be based off of something that's coming up here in the very near future in the next couple months. I'm actually very excited about this one. I've been very excited ever since the beginning of the year, whenever one of my other guests, Wendy Steen Shaner, had her online con, and it was absolutely epic. So how do you increase on epic? Well, my three guests are going to talk about that tonight. We're going to learn more about it. So we're going to start off with Wendy Steen Shaner.
Hi, guys.
Tom Hutchison. And CB Zane. Thank y'all very much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, absolutely. Now, what I always like to do is, just in case somebody doesn't know exactly who you are or will be watching this later on and wants to find out some things, we're going to start off and go around this, starting with Wendy. Tell us who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Okay. Wendy Steen Shaner. I have Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins. It's a comic series. We're on Kickstarter. We're in book 4. You can find me on Facebook under Wendy Steen Shaner, or even Comic Art Groupie. And then on Instagram, it's Comic Art Groupie, and on Twitter, it's Comic Art Groupie.
Excellent. And Tom, what about you?
Everybody knows me. Move on. Tom Hutchison. I am the writer and publisher for Big Dog Ink Comics. Right there. You can find us here on Facebook. There's a Big Dog Ink fan page, Ink with a K. BDI Comics on Instagram and Twitter. And we are, pretty much a perennial Kickstarter campaign runner now. We do things at least every quarter. So if you are a Kickstarter follower, which there's a lot of, folks that just kind of follow Kickstarter, you can just follow me, Tom Hutchison, on Kickstarter as well.
Excellent. And CB, what about you?
Okay. I'm CB Zane, and I am part owner, I suppose, of Outpost 426 Studios, where we publish Scorpiana, which is currently on Kickstarter. I also do Into the Suck, and you'll hear about Might in just a little bit when we talk about spin-off comics. So I like to think that after year 1 of Big Dog Ink, I'm the one who made that company into something, bringing my artwork there.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And from there, Tom takes all the credit. So
it usually works that way.
Yeah.
Now, first off, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put a little logo up here in the side up here, because this is what it's all about. Is right up there above Wendy. It's ClickCon 2020. So people are kind of, I know they've kind of looked at, another online con. Oh my gosh, we're doing another online con. It's the same thing over and over. So how do you go ahead and you create something that's not the same thing? That's what we're going to be going over tonight in some of this discussion, is trying to figure out what makes this is actually going to stand out as much as it is. And trust me, it is going to. And I don't even know all the details that all 3 of these people know, but what I do know is you definitely need to watch what's going on with this. So what I'd like to go ahead and start off with is, what is ClickCon 2020? Wendy, if you'll go ahead and kind of give me an answer on that one, of what you think 2020 ClickCon is actually going to be.
Well, I'm going to let Tom talk, because I don't want to give anything away.
Well, this is our second group chat, so we'll give a little more information away than we did last week on the Comic Book Shopping Network. But basically, this is Wendy's idea. This is her concept that we're taking and trying to find ways to expand on it. So she did an online con. It was a Kickstarter con. It was an online con, but it was a Kickstarter con. And it was designed to be an experience that brought you through the convention experience. So, with your badge, with your lanyard, with your, your gift bag, with whatever comics you're going to get, variants, etc. But it was focused around what Wendy did, her book, Naughty Fairies Stripper Assassins. So in January or February, I don't know when it happened. Months don't mean anything anymore. Wendy and I were at Red Lobster, and I was just talking to her and telling her how cool that the thing was. And I was like, how can we take this up a notch? How can we expand on what it is and make it not necessarily better, but a little different, and just keep running with the ball, because her foundation, what she made, was fantastic. And so the next step to me was, okay, how do we do it again? But if it's a convention, why don't we put more people involved? And, so she and I just sat there for about an hour or so and just rattled off, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? 2 hours. Yeah, we shut down the Red Lobster. We shut down the Red Lobster.
We shut down the restaurant.
Yeah.
Kicked us out.
And by the time Red Lobster was done and the evening was over, we had the foundation concept of what we wanted to do with this and how we might be able to expand it and bring in other creators. And as we started to talk about who we wanted to potentially tap on the shoulder, CB was at the top of the list because we both worked with him and we both know that he's a Kickstarter veteran, and we knew that he would fit in with whatever else we're doing. We didn't know what comics and characters we were going to use yet, but we knew that within the grand scheme of what we all do, he'd fit in perfectly, and he'd probably more than likely get it as soon as we explained it to him. And that was the case. As soon as I was like, hey, CB, this is what we want to do, he was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm in. And once again, riding my coattails, and here we are.
Why is my back so sore then?
I think the difference between what I did in January with the virtual Comic-Con on Kickstarter and what we're able to do with this particular ClickCon is I didn't have the technology to do all this stuff. I didn't know about Zoom calls and all of that. And because of COVID, it introduced a whole nother level of connection that I couldn't have implemented in January. And yet come March, all of a sudden, all these things are available. I mean, StreamYard wasn't something I even knew about. And yet all of us have used it now multiple times. So that was one of the elements that I was missing during my Kickstarter. And I would be asked, can you do this? Can you do that? I said, I don't have that technology to do. I want to do those things. There's a lot of other things that I want to do, but I didn't have access to it. So with COVID happening, everybody now knows how Zoom works, knows how to use Google Meet, is using StreamYard. We're all able to connect with people in a way that I wanted to in January, but wasn't able to. And now we're going to be able to take that element and include that into the ClickCon experience. So that's one of the ways that we're taking it up a whole nother level. I mean, there's other stuff too that I have to stop talking because I will give it away. However, there is some really cool stuff that is coming that is going to be added to the online Comic-Con to make it more immersive. Because I had all the swag, so you felt like when you got all that stuff, like, oh my gosh, look at all this. And the program was fantastic for that because backers got to put pictures in of their favorite con moments. And I had one backer who said that their little kids were in the pictures and they're all like in their 20s now. And they were flipping through the book going, oh my God, I remember meeting him and that was so neat. And it just brought back all these really positive memories. So, that's how I was able to connect more with the backers, but we're taking it to a whole nother level this time around.
And I think it's still even a fluid process. Almost on a daily, Tom will contact us or Wendy will throw in, and occasionally even I throw in something like, hey, why don't we try this? Or can we do that? And I know Tom has posted quite a few questions of, basically con fans out there and ask them, well, what do you enjoy about cons? Because we want to make that part of our experience. So when that is out there, when those questions are posted by us, or when you are on ClickCon on Facebook, if those questions are posted, we want to know them because we want to make it part of this experience.
The first thing that I want to bring up as far as questions in this, because I know there are certain ones that I can ask all I want to, I won't get an answer. But this one I think I should be able to, is are we going to have guest relations? Because we do have Joshua Main, and, guest relations was phenomenal.
That was the most fun, having Joshua run guest relations for the Naughty Fairies Comic-Con. Because Joshua would come in and do these wonderful little stories Totally, it was like, for me, I kind of pictured it as D&D of Comic-Con, because he would just create these scenarios and these little stories, and then people would just start throwing onto it. Oh yeah, there's no nacho cheese in the line. When are you gonna get that? And he's like, oh, sorry, I'm on a break. See you later. But he was so helpful, because one of the things that I found is we're in different time zones. So I might have been busy at work, and 3 hours later, or wherever the time difference is where Josh is, he was able to answer questions for me just because he was a backer. I mean, he didn't have any other investment in the project. He was just being supportive. And I appreciated that so much. So I always give shout outs to Joshua for all of that, because, he ended up getting me, I don't know how many backers, because I just couldn't answer those questions right then. And he said he spent like an hour with this one backer because they had never done it before. And he's walking him through step by step how to back the project. And I just thought that was so sweet. So I always make him my guest relations president, because he deserved that shout out. He was so helpful. But I think that just says something about that con experience and bringing people together. And again, that's what ClickCon's going to do. See, there you go, Russell. I mean, I think for us, for the three of us, I think I saw somewhere that Tom was going to sell $8 beers. Was that right?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah.
So
we can start that at any time. Anytime you want to start that, we can do that.
Big Dog Brewing.
There you go. I think for us, what we wanted to do is also show how united the comic community is. I mean, we're doing all these cross promotions. I'm cross promoting with CB. I'm cross promoting with Lewis. I'm cross promoting with Jim. And what it's demonstrating is, as creators, that it's not a competition. We're all in this together. We need to rise up as a unit and as a group. And it just makes me happy. I love sharing everybody's projects. I get like so excited when I get to talk about CB's project, or I'm talking about Jim's stuff, or we're sharing out different ideas. And I think it's good because the backers and fans of the project get excited, because they're like, oh, well, if Wendy's working with CB, then, and I haven't checked out CB's book, I'm going to go check out what CB's got to offer. Oh, CB's working with Lewis. Oh, fantastic. I'm going to go check out Lily Demoness. So I think for us, coming together just worked, and then ClickCon just seemed like the natural progression to that. So it's like the ultimate in collaboration, but instead of having one book from 3 creators, you get 3 different, wait, I don't know if I'm doing this right. You have 3 different stories and 3 different creators all into one book. There. Got it.
Well done.
It depends on who's giving them out, right, Josh?
That's one of the
Wendy is
differences
being
with
so cautious not to let too much information out. It's like she's scared to death of Tom or something.
No, you know what it is I don't want to take anything away, and I want the experience to be very organic and evolve. And I really don't want to lessen anyone's experience because I said something and it was like, man, that would have been a fantastic surprise if I just kept my mouth shut. So I just don't want to give anything away, because I want it to be a very wonderful, evolving experience, and not just, well, Wendy said blah blah blah. Ugh, now I have nothing to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we have essentially 2 months from today before we launch, so we have a ton of time to sort of drop the breadcrumbs and let everybody follow along as we add things in and add things in and add things in. So I mean, a lot of the foundation everybody already understands. They get it. It's a book, 64 pages. One of the differences here is most of the time when you get an anthology book, it's usually like maybe 30 pages, and each story is like 8 pages or so. This is going to be a 64-page book with 3 complete full-size stories in it. So that alone is going to make it a really great product just all by itself. 64 pages, 3 characters. there's 10 covers. So it's really simple. It's not really highly complicated and weird. Like you don't know if you're buying this cover and getting this book or how it all works. No, it's one book. There's 10 covers. Everything will make sense. It'll be super easy.
And that's very cool, because that's the next thing I wanted to bring up is whenever you're talking about all this, because Wendy puts out amazing crowdfunding and everything. Everybody jumps on that and we're incredibly happy. Tom puts out things. We're incredibly happy with everything you've got. You've got a ton of different options and everything to go through. CB, you know how I feel about Into the Suck. I mean, you've seen the review and everything with that too. So everybody's got powerhouse hitters here. And for y'all to come through together and say, we're not only going to do 3-on-3 new characters that are coming out. That is a key point right there. But we're also going to go ahead and put all 3 in one book. So all that unity of all these powerhouses in one book, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, I think that came about in the process of discussion. At first, I think the idea was we'll put out our 3 books and people can choose. But then I think it was Tom maybe, or maybe Wendy, I don't remember now. I mean, we've had so many discussions. It was like, well, why don't we put them all together and showcase each of them? And, you heard it in Wendy. She's excited to, promote other people's stuff. I'm excited. Tom's excited. And together we have a chance to do that. And I know, like, talking behind the scenes, how excited each of us are about these stories. And then to collect them together and, get them out to people. I don't know. I can't wait. I really can't. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you already heard all the stuff that Wendy and saw what Wendy did with her last con Kickstarter, and Tom's brought all these ideas, and like this wealth of knowledge is just, I hope makes it not only you get a great product in your hand, but have a wonderful experience.
And that's the whole point of these cons, is it's not about the collectability of the particular item that you're buying or whatever. It's the experience, because that's why you go to cons in the first place anyway. So if you're not able to go to a con right now, we're not doing negative and drama and everything. We know how my show is, so we can't do that. But so how do we do that online? So you found a way around that to go ahead and give that experience, because Wendy was able to go ahead and steamroll this at the beginning of the year, which was amazing. And now we're taking that and multiplying that times 3, but putting it all together. That's my whole point, is we could have done 3 separate, stories on here and had, I don't even know how many covers that would make. My math just doesn't add up to that. We could have had that, but instead we're going to have, the 3 in one book, which is amazing, because you can grab one book and have all 3 all together. But it's also the unity within the industry that's showing in there, and that is huge right now.
Well, yeah, that was half the point of putting them together, was if we were just going to come together and do a campaign and have all of our books individual, that doesn't actually benefit the creators and the creative side of it, because the CB fans can just come in and just buy the CB book and go home, and they wouldn't get exposed to what Wendy does or what I do. So the whole point of of coming together is to give fan base and the collectors and the readers and extra doors to walk through that they might not have walked through previously. So, while all of us, like I said, we've all worked together. So that Venn diagram, we all have a little bit of overlap, but there's definitely people that buy my stuff that don't know who Wendy is. There's definitely people that buy my stuff that don't know who CB is, and vice versa. So this way, no matter what you buy, whichever cover, you can buy whichever cover you want. You want the catnip cover? Buy the catnip cover, but you're going to go home with 3 different stories about 3 different characters, regardless of your cover. So that was sort of like the big brainchild thing. Like, oh, this makes way more sense, is to send people home with 3 stories instead of making them buy 3 individual things.
Yeah.
Now that brings up my next thing, is how did you come up with the name Spinoff Comics?
Well, we originally were going to do, I was going to do book 4, and CB was talking about doing, it was Scorpion? No, it was Into the Suck 5.
Into the Suck 6, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Tom was talking about doing it, and we went, wait a minute, no. Let's do something different. So all of us kind of had an idea. Like Tom was already thinking about his character. CB already kind of had Might in place. I already had Cyrus because she's already been in the story. So we said, well, wait a minute. All of us started changing our mind and saying, wait, no, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do this. And then it was like, CB goes, well, wait, no, I'm not going to do this character. I want to do a spinoff with this. And we all kind of said, you know what? We're all doing spinoffs. And it just, like I said, it became very organic. And I think Tom was the one who was like, it's spinoff. That's what we're doing. We're spinning off of our books. So that's kind of how that evolved. But the whole process has been very organic, which is nice. Yeah. We haven't really had to fight about anything. Like we have discussions and we have like, oh, what do you think about this? That's okay. What about this? That's all right. But like we get along so well because we do know each other and we've all worked together. So the creative process has been very exciting and comfortable for the most part. I mean, I don't think anybody's felt like left out or dejected or anything like that. I mean, all of our ideas are respected, but you know, and I think all of us kind of left our egos behind and are willing to do that to make the project successful. And I think because of that, it's been very organic and it's been very positive. So, I mean, I love working with these guys. It's fantastic.
And that's Spinoff was just basically off the cuff. We were talking about, hey, we need a title for this. We don't want to call it ClickCon Comics or, you know, that's dumb. So we needed to actually have a book. And I think it was just the first thing I threw out. I think it was just like Spinoff Comics because I had gone and looked and there's never been that I could find. There's never been a book called Spinoff Comics before. So I was like, well, we have a title that no one's used. It makes complete sense within the concept of what we're doing. And then from the moment that we kind of were like, yeah, that makes sense. It was about 5 days later, we had the logo. And that was Jason Hay here, came out of the blue, just started working on a logo on his own. He didn't even apply for the job. He just started drawing stuff. And it just kept going. And I was like, well, edit that, fix that, do that. And suddenly we had a logo and away we went.
Now that's very cool. And of course everybody knows now that we have a very large book with 3 separate stories in there. So now we're going to kind of break this apart a little bit. So what I'd like to do is we're going to talk about Cyrus, we're going to talk about Catnip, and we're going to talk about Mighty Might. So we're going to start, ladies first, with Wendy on this one. If you'll go ahead and give us, what are we looking for in your story? What's the main punch on that?
Well, with Cyrus, I mean, we've already seen Vivian Donalda in book 3, and she's in book 4 of Naughty Fairies. So we've kind of see that she's the villain. She's really a badass, and she's not nice at all. Well, with Cyrus, it's going to kind of be her evolution because we're coming into kind of a halfway point in her life where she's done some really awful stuff, but some really awful, awful stuff has happened to her that she's coming out of. So we're starting from her kind of leaving this really horrible situation and kind of developing into the Cyrus through different experiences that she's going to have. And we're still dealing with, you know, some social issues that are happening in society and things like that, because I feel that's really important and it sticks to what Naughty Fairies has been about. So it's going to be more of her evolution to becoming Cyrus. So this is going to happen after book 4. So, but it's not something, you don't have to read book 4 to understand what's happening to her in Cyrus. So you can pick up Cyrus and you'll be good to go. You don't have to have prior knowledge of the story. And that was important to me.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's for all of us. All of us are going to have stories that you can just drop in, which is why we got rid of the idea of Critter 22 and Into the Suck 6. It was too hard for people to be coming in. It made far more sense to just be like, let's just do a story that is brand new and they can just start. And that's what we did.
Absolutely. And it makes sense to do that because you can have, again, going off the name of the book, spinoff, because then you've got other characters that you can start working off of depending upon their popularity, which I don't see a problem with their popularity. We've seen what's happened with all of your other things that you've touched and sent out there. So there's not going to be an issue with this, I don't see. So, Tom, tell us about Catnip.
So Catnip was originally just going to be a goth version of Critter, my superhero Critter, because we did a special variant day for Goth Day for our 10-year anniversary this year, and we did goth variations of 5 of our characters, and so we were just going to have Critter in a goth outfit. But as I started to design the costume, I realized that because of Critter's overall story and the idea that she already has multiple dimensions, and there's different versions of Critter. There's a vampire Critter. There's a cat girl of Mars. There's different variations. There's a steampunk Critter and so on. I was like, oh, this could actually become like an actual thing. Like we can actually make a story, make her part of the overall Critter story. And so her first appearance was on Goth Day. We did a cover for her, reprinting Critter #1. But as I was designing her, that's when I realized, oh, no, I'm not going to do what I was going to do with ClickCon. I'm going to put Catnip in because this makes way more sense because it's a brand new start of a story, but it ties into what people already know, which is Critter. And so Catnip is going to be a very different story from a writing standpoint for me. It's going to be very noir style. Think sort of like Sin City or The Spirit, that type of thing, but blended with sort of the color of the superhero world that I like. So it's going to be a really different type of thing. I really don't want to talk about it too much because everybody knows me. You know that when you read a Big Dog Ink book, you're not getting what you think you're getting on the face of it. So, there's always a little sort of left turn here and there. And so there's definitely going to be some, what I hope is some cool thought processes as far as this world that she's living in, and what ultimately the sort of unique twist of it will be at the end. But yeah, it's very noir, very different writing style, which is a little weird for me. But we actually put some of it on Patreon. I have a Patreon for Big Dog Inc. And some of the original, just sort of like off the top of my head, I wrote out a page just to kind of feel it out, see what it was going to feel like. And it was kind of cool to write. It was very different. And so if you join Patreon, you'll get to see it ahead of time.
And it is definitely worth joining Patreon. I will tell you right now. Cannot wait for my exclusive to come in of the Bikini Day one. That is, yeah, did not expect that. CB, we're talking about Mighty Might. What's going on with that one?
Yeah, I was worried, Tom, you were going to tell him about how Catnip is mauled to death by a giant cat at the end of the story. So I'm glad you didn't ruin that for anyone.
So now I have to write a whole new thing.
Nobody's watching. I mean,
it's just my show.
I apologize for that, Demon Phil. I meant no one was paying attention to Tom. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see, Might is, as you heard, originally I was going to bring the stock 6 into ClickCon, and it just didn't quite work out. It didn't click, if you will. And you heard how we all kind of organically sort of just shifted. I could have easily told a story from Into the Suck, but for some reason I gravitated right away to Might, who I had drawn into just a background panel in Scorpiana 1, the very first issue. And since then, her look is evolved into, what you see in a couple of the promos that are out there and some of the sketches I've done, which is this pink Space Buns do. I wanted to get away from blonde hair with pink finishes, like pink ends to them, because there was so much of that with Harley Quinn and other characters. So her look evolved, and she makes her first new look appearance in Scorpiana 2. And even though she is spinning off from the pages of Scorpiana, she has definitely her own story to tell, a very different vibe. Whereas Wendy talks about the tragic background of Cyrus, Might's background is maybe grounded a little bit more normalcy and just sheer excitement. She's a good girl, and she is excited about having these powers. And
She is
so,
so cute.
what's that?
She's so cute. I can't help it. Her little face.
And I wanted
Wendy's exploding.
I am so excited.
And I wanted her to convey like who she is and what her attitude is. And again, kind of with the other ones, I don't want to give away too much, but I've gravitated toward. I mean, I'm a very eclectic person, whether it's the music I listen to or the movies I watch or the shows I watch. But I've always gravitated toward a show that can kind of make you laugh, and make you cry, and still has a message to be told. And I wanted to try to bring that out in Mike's story. And like you were saying, Phil, with this idea of spin-offs, if this spin-off works and these characters work, I know I have 100 more Mike stories to tell. I have a folder of villains, her villain gallery, if you will, ready to go. So, fingers crossed that this is all well received, because I have a lot to say and do with Mike. But I think people are going to like her because she's, I hope in some ways, a breath of fresh air in everything that is 2020.
Yeah, I mean, they sound amazing because they're different stories. It's not your normal cookie cutter, throw on a cape and all of a sudden you're a superhero and, go that route. It's been done so many times, and it's become just so complacent that that's the way to do things. So it's refreshing to see something brand new out there that not only is brand new, but you're actually, like I said, putting it together, the three into one. That is mind blowing to me, because you're getting these three great stories all in one. And like you said before, if someone is dealing with Wendy's and understands Naughty Stripper Fairy Assassins and goes along with that storyline, but has never picked up Tom's books, now they can go ahead and pick it up and go, why have I not been picking up Tom's books? And wait a minute, who's this CB guy at the back too? Because he's got some good stuff too.
They're going to keep asking that. That's
yeah.
And the cool thing is that you're going to have, here's the way that this is going to lay out too. So it's going to be even more simple for everybody to get involved in. There's going to be one primary cover, and Phil, this might be your cue. There's going to be one primary cover. It will be the cheapest possible cover. It'll be the cheapest price that we can possibly make it, so that it makes sense with printing and all that. But that one original book will get you all three cover, or all three stories. All the variants, of course, will start to pop up, $20, $25. You know how the variants work. But the basic book will be very, very affordable, and anybody will be able to come in, grab that one book, get all three covers, or again, all three stories, and have a great experience, even at the lowest possible rung. And there'll be a digital version as well. So if you just want the digital copy, we can ship you a digital copy too. But if you want an actual physical book, we're going to make it super easy for you. And there is on cue, there is Spin-Off Comics. This is the A cover. We call it the A cover, done by CB Zane and Elenia DiNapoli on colors, with our cool Spin-Off logo. It's sort of a retro design for the logos and such. And then we kind of brought the image modern with the big splash grouping. And you've got Catnip on the left, you have Sirenus in the middle, and you have Might on the right holding up. I know it's a little bit hard to see, guys, but Might is holding up the speaker that Sirenus is singing through. So that's the basic book right there. That is not the first appearance of it. We had it last week on the show too, but the first wider audience version for everybody to have a look at.
I think one of the things I really liked about this too is all of us have strong female characters, and to have them all be so different in their characteristics and their personalities, I think it's going to be a really nice balance. But like I said, Might just makes me so happy. Her little pink space buns just makes me smile. I just can't wait for Might. And Catnip's ears, her tail, I am so excited for this book, and I just can't wait to get it all together and get it out there. September cannot come fast enough.
I'm just as excited, to get it out as I am to read your story, Wendy, and yours, Tom. As much as we've collaborated, even behind the scenes, we haven't shared a ton about our characters. A little basic background, kind of what makes them who they are a bit. But honestly, I don't know where Wendy's story is going other than what you've heard, and the same with Tom. So I'm just as excited to be able to read the scripts and see the comics and everything as it pulls together. What we have had the opportunity to see is, as our cover art is pouring in, to see how that's all going to come together. And I will say that we have some big time covers coming that I think people are really, really going to like. I had a blast doing the A cover. It was a challenge trying to fit 3 different characters with 3 different worlds. But I like that as an artist being challenged. So in that cover, I wanted it to be kind of something that was, circular in nature. When you're looking at Catnip and your eye trails over to Cyrenius, and then all of a sudden that speaker brings you down to little old Mite who's holding it up, and then back again to Catnip. And I wanted that to be a never-ending circle. Whichever way your eye travels, you are in their worlds temporarily and then out and then back in. And it was fun. And seeing what some of the other artists are doing and some of the other covers we have lined up, I really think it's going to be a treat. I think people are going to have a very difficult choice. They're going to have 10 really awesome covers.
There's no choice. You just buy them all.
Right.
You just forget choice. Just there's one button. Get it all.
Yes. All kinds.
You were talking about with your cover for the A cover on there, and you hit all the major points on there, except one thing that I did notice, and this is a huge plus on there, is the fact that they have their own backgrounds. So not only does it flow with the characters, but they have their own personal backgrounds behind each one. If you really look at that cover, and it still flows. That's almost impossible to do. You nailed it.
When CB was working on it, when he was talking about it, he goes, I'm going to have it do this and this and this. And I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to picture it, and I just cannot wrap my head around it. And then when he showed the first, I was just like, oh my God, that is so perfect. It turned out so beautiful. I love the way it transitions. It is fantastic.
And that was one of the challenges too. I didn't want it to just be, it would have been easy to just draw 3 characters standing there with any sort of background, but I wanted to have a little piece of each of them based on what I knew and what Wendy told me and what Tom told me. So yes, the backgrounds there was a lot of thought put into what they were too. So
turned out really cool.
So they're bugging me out here. I'm going to go ahead and put it up here because I know you're not going to tell me anyway. But Steph's wanting to know the cover artist. Who are they?
We'll tell you one. I'll tell you one. One.
Well, CB.
Yeah, that's it. CB. Yeah.
Okay.
CB is our cover artist. He's
correct.
That's why I was passing it over in the comments. Exactly. I was just passing it over in the comments. I knew you weren't going to answer. I was like, no, that's okay.
Technically, we have actually told. It's too hot for the ears. Technically, we've already shown. We haven't shown the image, but we have shown who it is because the promo image for Catnip has the artist name. So one of the Catnip covers will be done by Hedwin Zalvadar. This guy does a lot of color work. He actually colored one of Mike Chrome's. If you guys remember way back in the day, Penny for Your Soul, the pole dancing angel. That's Hedwin's colors. But he also does his own art. So he's done the complete art on this, all the colors. He does covers for a whole bunch of companies, Zenoscope, and so on. So that's the one that's actually already out there. I don't know how many people actually noticed the little up the side, like who it was. But the Catnip cover, one of them, is done by Hedwin Zalvadar. So there you go. There's your one.
That's not going to appease the masses, but it has to.
Plenty of time to drop artist names.
We've delved, directly into this, and we've kind of torn into the book and split it up into the 3 parts, talked about it and all. Now, my next question is, how do you put this together? How do you come together with all this? I know you said you had the conversation at Red Lobster and everything, but this is an ongoing process. This is not something that's like your regular crowdfunding that you just grab some artists, grab some work together, put it out there, throw it on crowdfunding, you're good. How do you put this together?
Well, like I was, you know what? It was very organic. I mean, all of us were able to come together and talk about it. And it really wasn't that hard to do, but I think it's because of who we all are.
This was impossible to do. No one could do this in the universe but us 3.
Experience in my life. I never want to do this again. I can't even do it with a straight face. It just, yeah.
It's honestly, here's the thing, and we talked about it. We talked about it earlier. It's 2 things. Number one, it's kind of what we talked about earlier. It's using what you have, the tools that you have to use them. Zoom, Facebook Messenger, whatever. Anybody can get together and do essentially what we did, but it takes one piece of a puzzle that a lot of people can't do, and that's dropping the ego part. That's the biggest hang up to the success of independent comics, because everybody, I can't say everybody, a large portion of the industry can't figure out that we're all the bottom piece of the pie. So you have Marvel, you have DC, those are the big pie pieces, and then you have the bottom piece of that pie, the bottom third, where we're all in there. Marvel, or Image is in there, Dark Horse is in there, Aspen's in there, Zenoscope's in there. Even we are in there, even though we're at the bottom of those, those rungs. But it's very difficult if you pay attention to the industry. It's very difficult for all of those entities to work with any other entity for any number of reasons. But for us, it was like, we sat there and said, do you remember the 90s when there was Image and Valiant crossing over, and there was this and that crossing over, and this and that? They just did it because it benefited everybody involved. So in our situation, it's like, there's no point in getting uppity and weird and like trying to take control of things, because number one, everybody's got a little bit different background. Everybody's got a little bit different character. We have to kind of force ourselves to adapt to all of the variations. But in the end, we all understand that we're working towards a specific goal, which is, it's the old adage of the rising tide rises all ships. So if you can wrap your head around the idea that when you do something for someone else, you both go up, that's how you level up.
Yeah, I think another really key component is that we had a super big, strong foundation with what Wendy already had. Right. And again, checking an ego, Wendy could have said, hey, this is my idea. No, I'm going to do it all by myself. I don't need your help. But instead, she's like, yeah, I want to make it better and bigger. And, I'm really happy that Wendy and Tom included me in this. And, again, like, we know the direction of quite a few pieces, but I know in the next 2 months, there's still going to be more. And my guess is that even as it's going on, we will probably brainstorm a couple other things and be like, we should do this. Yes, do it. Let's get that out there. So it's going to flow, the tide's going to rise. And, as it is, I mean, there will be some other ships sailing in and docking, so to speak, if I keep with that ship metaphor.
So you're building a navy instead of a comic book. Is that what we're doing now?
It's a force to be reckoned with.
It's fleet building. It's fleet building. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, our new name is now FleetCon.
Yes.
See how easy it all flows and works. So.
Yeah.
So, whenever you're putting this together and everything, one thing that I'm going to keep alluding back to Wendy's, because that was kind of the blueprint for getting this going. And not only with this, everyone has to understand that Wendy started this whole thing before COVID and everything happened outside. So that was the front runner to everybody going, wait a minute, we can actually do online cons. So I'm going to give credit where credit's due on this one, because Wendy did an amazing job, and that was the best con I think I've ever been to as far as cons in general. So that being said, how do you, like in the con there, you had Artist Alley, and you had a whole bunch of different artists, and you even had a map drawn out of the tables and everything.
Yes.
What is the criteria to pick out which artists can be involved in this? Because if you go to a con, there are just a whole bunch of different artists. And I'm asking this specifically because when people heard that I was going to have y'all on here tonight, I started getting a lot of messages. So there are ears listening.
When I did the con in January, my Artist Alley map, that's like, when I go to a con, that's like how I maneuver, because I don't hang out and I don't really visit the vendors. I'm always at Artist Alley. It has always been that way. I have talked off more ears than any of the artists will care to admit, because I just love that networking and hanging out and meeting people. And when I decided to do the online virtual con, I said, I have to have an Artist Alley map. It's super important. Well, mine was Naughty Fairy themed. So CB was in there because he worked on book 2. You know, I had artists that worked on book 1. Ryan Kincaid was listed, and Tone Rodriguez, and Nia Rufino. I had artists from book 2 and 3 and the swimsuit issue, and anybody who had been part of Naughty Fairies was included in the map. Even though they weren't part of that current activity, I just consider you guys my family. You guys helped me and supported, and so I wanted to give shout outs where I could, and that's one of the ways I did it. So I listed, you know, all the artists that worked in on Naughty Fairies. They were all put in there, and then I had maps, and I tried to draw everybody, and then, you know, Joshua took it to another level, and his guest relations would have them fighting, and we had to separate people on the map, and, you know, it just became another layer that was fun. And one of the things that I think for this con, I'm not going to say too much about who's going to be on Artist Alley.
Yeah, what we will say though is
we will have a map.
Yeah, what we will say is this is one of the expansion elements of it. Is Wendy's original Artist Alley was sort of a mention of these people that had worked on her stuff before. This time we're going to have a legitimate actual Artist Alley where there will be artists as rewards that you can buy, who will
I didn't want to say that.
Well, we said that last week.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember saying that. That might have been when I got kicked out.
Oh, that's possible. That's possible.
Yeah. So I missed that. So I didn't want to
kicked out.
We haven't announced to who's going to be in there yet, but there is going to be 5 or 6 artists who will basically be rewards that you can go in and say, okay, artist, I'm going to get your reward, or add it onto your, you know, comic book reward, whatever you want to do. And then they will do a sketch for you. The trick, however, is that they're not coming in to ClickCon to draw Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. You're going to commission them to draw Might or Sirenus or Catnip. Those are your 3 options. And when you do all of your rewards and your surveys and all that kind of stuff, you'll have your option of, okay, I want to pick this character. So it'll be very easy. But yeah, I think that's going to be one of the cooler level ups of what we're doing. Is you'll be able to buy comics, and then when you're done buying your comics, you can go into Artist Alley and you can check out the art. And if you want to buy some art, you can buy some art.
Yeah, when I did the virtual con in January, we had levels where you could go to the Artist Alley table. That was their pledge number, like B125 or whatever. And there were in there where you could get a remark, or you could get an original piece and things like that. But I think we're even taking that to a whole nother level. And I'm not going to tell you how we're doing that yet. But there is another level to where we are. And I'll let your mind create it. Because I can see the wheels are turning there, Phil. You're trying to figure it out.
I'm trying. I have no clue.
We're looking at really, I mean, we've got a starting point and we have our baseline and we're just building off of that. So anything that was there previously will possibly, most probably be there for this, but it's going to be stepped up. It's kind of like my Naughty Fairy Comic-Con on steroids. So that's kind of where we're looking. I mean, these guys all got some amazing ideas, and like we're taking all of our amazing ideas individually and combining them. It's like Wonder Twin powers activate all the way around.
It's Wonder Twins plus CB.
Plus CB. Poor CB.
Wow.
CB is the gleek of the group.
He's a popular member. Who doesn't like the trained monkey?
I know what CB's going to draw on Monday.
No, it's funny. As you were talking, Wendy, I'm sitting here. I grabbed this notepad next to me. I'm like, oh, I have an idea. We'll talk about it later. So I jotted down a couple things. So that's how it seems to work.
You know, and I think it's because we're not afraid to share our ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I can come to you, I can post to our group and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I get a yay or a nay, or let's build on that, or we'll talk about it later, or no, that's great. Let's talk about it more. So, I mean, all of us are willing and open enough and comfortable enough to come forward with our ideas and share those out. You know, and because of that, I think it just demonstrates how awesome a team the three of us are, and not being, you know, big egoed or anything, but just because we work so well together, it's just going to make everything that much better.
And that makes complete sense with that. Absolutely. Now, whenever you officially announced everything last week, of course, I was in the audience and I was paying very close attention, and I was actually taking a few notes because there were some things that were talked about in there.
No
and again,
comment.
I know things that we cannot answer. I understand that. But I know there were things that were asked of y'all that you kind of raised your eyebrows and you were like, that's actually a great question. So I wanted to bring up a couple of those to go ahead and bounce off again, because I know you've had a little bit of time to kind of, you know, bounce it off each other as well. So the number one thing that I want to know is, you know, we have this badge from Wendy's from the beginning of the year with Steph Wilson art. Can we get the next one with Jesse Witchman? No, I'm sorry. No. Steph's making fun of me in my chair over here on the side, and I see it. So that was bounced at him. So
No, it's not going to happen.
So my question is, are we going to have con-related concessions, meaning like T-shirts, koozies, coasters, whatever y'all can come up with on that actually goes ClickCon 2020?
I mean, any of that stuff is possible. We have to. There's going to be a point where we have to sit down and knock out what our stretch goals are going to be, and what we might want to just offer for sale as well. But I mean, anything is possible. I am never a fan of overdoing things and making it too complicated. And sometimes complicated means on the back end, like the shipping of all of these things can get chaotic. And I know that Wendy's talked about how she's packed stuff before, and she did it in a really cool way. So we have to kind of think about how she did it so that we can emulate that and not make it explode our brains, you know, when we're having to do it. But at the same time, we want to make it as cool as we can. There's certainly going to be badges. There's certainly going to be lanyards. All of that's already been discussed. The big bags, all that kind of all that stuff for sure. The next step is then, okay, what are we going to do for our stretch goals? What, you know, are they all going to be just ClickCon things? Are they going to be character related things? Like, you know, what are they going to be? And that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have relatively soon so we can start lining it up.
Well, I would love to get feedback from people who are watching and people who are, you know, following ClickCon in general. Do fans just want ClickCon? Do they want character based? I mean, because, you know, I have preferences on what I want to see in my own, you know, projects that I do back. do I want to see just this, or do I want more of this? You know, so I have my preferences, and I try to bring those into my Kickstarters and my projects. But each one of us, I mean, Tom, you have your preferences. CB, you have your preferences. We all kind of have our set on, these are the things in the order that we even release our stretch goals. So I'm curious to see what people who are backing and supporting have to say. Are they interested in this or that, or what are their preferences? You know, maybe we need to do like some Facebook polls.
Yeah, this is the question for the people. Do you want a bunch of ClickCon swag, or do you want Might,
You know,
Sireness,
Sireness,
whatever?
like-
Yeah, character
Yeah.
driven or
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have a name for the Sireness, Might, and Catnip as one name to combine them. Kind of like the One Ring. We don't have that yet.
the spin-off character, the spin-off gang.
The spin-off gang.
The
There you go.
spin-offs, yeah.
Yeah.
And that would work as having something with the spin-off in there with you know, having the spin-off comics, having the ClickCon, having the characters separated and some things in there. It would be, if you take your mindset to whenever you go to a con, that's what I'm thinking of immediately whenever y'all start talking about this, is whenever I walk through a con, there's the con stuff that you get at the front table up there, and then you walk through and you get the stuff from the other people, and that's all of their, characters and everything. Yeah. That's what I personally would like to see. I don't know what everyone else in the audience maybe would like to see with that too. I'm seeing a lot over here that says they want it all, so I don't think they're incredibly picky.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Free
swag is free swag. I mean, just take it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the idea of the starting point with a bunch of ClickCon stuff, and then as you move into the campaign, there's Big Dog stuff, and there's Naughty Fairy stuff, and there's, Outpost stuff. That's certainly a doable thing, because I mean, we're all here for spin-off comics, but at the same time, we are also our own individual entities. So it will make sense to kind of move in and out of company related things and ClickCon unified logo things.
Yeah.
And that makes complete sense, because that's what you want, is you want to be able to move your brand as well as the larger shell brand now that you have as well, because this could possibly be something that could be revisited at some point as well, that you could actually have 3 stories put back in and do that again and put another twist on it. I mean, the minds that are working on this, I try to figure out what y'all are doing, and then you throw me for a curve almost everything that you do. And that's great, because it's never the expected. If it's something that I expect, it's complacent. It's been done before. That's not what we want. What we want is something new, something fresh. And that's what you give us, and that's what I can see from this.
The scholars refer to that as the Tom Hutchinson method. It's studied well around the world, and it's even offered at Oxford.
Now, the next thing that I wanted to ask, that I believe was brought up last week, is will there be VIP tiers, kind of like what you had, Wendy? Because that was phenomenal in itself too, because you get a lot more different swag, and then a few more extra amenities added onto that as well, which was nice. Uh-oh.
Right? It looks like we might have lost her. She had this problem last week too. We'll see if she pops back. I think the answer to that is probably, again, these are the types of things that we kind of have to have in our upcoming meetings, is figuring out, okay, what are we already know the 10 covers. It's like, whoosh, there's your 10 covers. But there are, within those 10 covers, ways to Tetris them around so that some of them can be grouped in ways, like you could buy all the Catnip covers, all the Might covers if you want, and so on. So there's going to be sort of a layout that we have to figure out. And then as far as, like, if somebody's buying everything, there should probably be some added element for, hey, thanks for diving in for the whole thing. Here's an extra, whatever it happens to be. So the answer to that is probably, but we haven't really reached that stage of the development yet.
I might even take that a step further. I mean, even though we haven't laid anything out concretely, I think, echoing off of what Tom was saying, there will probably be those tiers. They'll be well organized, and they'll be easy to follow. We don't want it to be like okay, here's a list of 100,000 different swag packages you can get, and everyone is like, I forgot. I thought I liked number 33, but I think 87 was good too. We don't want it to be that. We want it to be an enjoyable, kind of easy to follow, immersive experience. So I think that's ultimately what's going to drive it when it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, some people go to cons and they're happy with the initial swag bag, and they walk around and they people watch, and that's their experience. Some people are there because they have to score that autograph. Some people are there because they have to meet that artist. Some people are there because they have to go to the BDI booth and get whatever special variant cover they don't have as they thumb through Tom's boxes. So in some way, shape, or form, we want to be able to offer that experience too. And that's, to be ironed out. So we can't say definitively for sure, like, hey, it's definitely happening. But I would say there's a strong possibility you'll get something to that effect.
And I believe it was Joshua Main who had said something earlier. I can't find the comment on here, but it was something along the lines of it was wanting the exclusive con covers is something that we look for whenever we go to cons as well. Mm. So that would be something as well, is as long as we have something on here that we can get on this campaign that is not going to be available anywhere else.
Yeah, that's something that I've even started doing with my stuff is having some Kickstarter only books. So that's definitely a possibility. The 10 covers that we have are probably going to be, they're all going to be limited. So, maybe we make 150 of them, and then, whatever's left at the end, we can sell when we do our shows on the Arts Alley Shopping Network and so on. But to actually create something that is exclusive to the campaign only, I think we've all done that at this point to some degree. So yeah, I would say definitely watch for those little secret drops, especially as we do the add-ons and so on, sort of mid-campaign. Watch for those.
Yeah, and it's always fun to watch for those because you've got so much information that's put out there. You give us basically the cover, but you won't show us anything. So we know what to expect, but we have no idea what's coming. It's very odd how it works with that, but all of a sudden you just slap it out there and it's like, okay, I've got to have it. Holy crap, this one, this one too, what just happened?
Yeah, part of that is just getting used to the system. And anybody who does a Kickstarter over multiple Kickstarters should be developing a system, because if you're just chaos every time you do it, then the people that are trying to follow you are going to be confused when you're changing things up all the time. So with Big Dog Inc. stuff, we have a very specific sort of methodology of this is how we start. This is our early stretch goals. This is kind of how we do our add-ons in the middle of the campaign, on and on and on and on. So people understand the system. They know what to expect. And even though they don't know what the product might be that they're going to get for a stretch goal, they know that it's coming at a certain point in time, so on and so on and so on. So with this, it'll be a little bit different because you're talking about 3 people who all have their own methodologies. But what we'll do is we'll look at how we all do it and then sort of figure out how to layer it on top of each other and then have it make sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense on how that was explained with that, because that would work better on, again, going with the simplicity on it, because you don't want to have it where it's so complicated that you go in here going, I can't afford everything, but apparently I have to get everything and sell my house just because I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, no. We know that everything's kind of weird right now. We've all run Kickstarters, through this COVID thing, and we appreciate everybody, diving in and continuing to support comics, whether it's ours or anybody else's. But Kickstarters have been absolutely crazy in their success rates of late since COVID started. People told me not to launch Princesses vs. Zombies in April because of this COVID thing. And I was like, dude, people are sitting at home, and, a lot of Kickstarter campaign runners have dropped out. So the amount is negligible. But if you go in and you watch Kickstarter, and this is part of what I was doing as I was trying to figure out if I was going to launch or not, and you click on ending soon, so you can see what's ending soon. Duh. You can watch, and you're
Yep.
scrolling through, and all of these campaigns are funding. Now, maybe they're only like 110% funded or whatever, but it's like funded, really close, funded, really close. It's like this stuff's funding. People are looking for things to do. People are looking for escapism. They're looking for entertainment. And we have the opportunity now to do that and be that. And in just from our normal Kickstarters, but now we get to come in and take a step up and say, okay, now it's going to be Tom and CB and Wendy. It's going to be 3 characters. It's going to be, there's going to be panels. There's going to be live sessions. There's going to be Artist Alley. It's going to be a larger event than just, hey, we've got a Kickstarter again.
And that's great doing that, because like I said, it's got the elements that you want in there, but not doing the complexity on there. So it's something that you expect but don't. And that's what I like about that, is because like I said, each one of you do this. It's like I'll be going through on the crowdfunding thinking, okay, I'm great. I was, in the first day I backed this thing, I feel great. A week later, another 1 or 2 covers pops out of there, and I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and see what's going to happen with this. And it keeps going with that. And I know now to expect that with each of your projects individually. So I can only imagine what the 3 maniacal minds have put together on this project.
Well, it's good. We've got we have CB's cover done. We have 3 other covers that are borderline done, and another that is basically penciled out on my end for Catnip. I know CB has a cover finished, and I'm not sure where Wendy is on what her portion of it.
I'm not telling you.
Okay, so Wendy's learning from me very well. I like it.
I'm the Padawan.
Now, there was something that was mentioned last week, and I don't know if you can or cannot talk about this one, because you had kind of led into it, but then dropped it off, because there's going to be more information on that, is the cosplay contest. So what can you tell us about that? Because I know we're kind of on hold on trying to figure out what's going to be going on with that. And Wendy's over there got a smirk and dancing, so she knows quite a bit about this one.
Yeah, so we want to do a cosplay contest, but we want, just like the Artist Alley, we want it to focus on our characters. So what we're going to do is, and we haven't put the call out yet, so this will be kind of the first official here we go thing, and then watch for the official call coming out and all that kind of stuff. But what we want to do is have a cosplay contest where anybody can do this. They can cosplay 1 or all 3 of their characters if they want, depending on how crazy they want to get on it. We are going to let the backers vote on who wins. So it's not, I'm going to vote for Catnip. Obviously, she's going to vote for Sireness. So that we all negate each other. It doesn't matter. So the backers will get to vote. The backers will get to vote on this, and the winner is going to get $500. So and we're going to work out some kind of a special edition cover for them as well. So watch for all of the official heavy duty announcement details, but there's your initial tease. It's gonna be super simple. Make your costume, send us pictures front, back, give us a pose for the character so that we can see all of what you're doing, and then those pictures will be transplanted into the campaign so that the backers can vote, and then when we're done with our vote, we will have a winner who gets $500 and their own cover.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And of course, that'll be exclusive to this, and it won't be on anything else as well.
Right.
Correct.
That's a piece of history right there, because this is something that hasn't been done the way that you're doing it, and to be exclusive on that, and to have 3 new characters who are having their first origin stories.
And if it should happen that we get a ton of characters or a ton of entries, I mean, we really don't know what to expect. We might get 2, we might get 10, we might get 20. I have no idea. If we get a breadth of the characters, we might be able to actually break it down to where there's a winner for each costume, each character, and then from those winners, the supreme winner. But we're going to have to kind of judge that on the fly based on how many entries that we get.
The Click Queen.
The Click Queen, yes.
Yeah.
Now, Lewis wants to go ahead and remind us, because it's an every show thing, and Wendy's already laughing. He was backer number 1 on Naughty Fairies. He just wants to let everyone know, because that's like his gold medal right there. I mean, that's right there.
Number 1.
Now, speaking of gold, if you have not yet, I'm going to go ahead and throw a shameless plug on Wendy's here right now, because I got mine. Ha ha. So get anyone, to go ahead and back hers as a new backer on Kickstarter with Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin number 4, and you get a part of the Gold Club. I'm already a part of it since the first con, and I was not going to miss the second one, so I'm already a part of the second one too. So definitely do that.
Gold members have their benefits.
Yeah. And bragging rights.
And bragging rights, like number 1.
Well, that goes along with the numbered membership cards, because that was a bragging rights thing in itself right there.
Yeah. Yeah, each gold member card was numbered with their name put onto it, and then they also got a gold print that matched, and it turned out really cool. So I wanted to continue that again on this one. It was really cool.
Very much so. But we've had a lot of information on this and everything. So my next leading question into kind of building this up is, where does this go with y'all? I mean, like, we've got ClickCon that's going to be coming up and everything. It's going to be running, I'm sure, like around, what, a 30-day or ish Kickstarter?
Ish,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. So where does this go? I mean, you've got 30 days to go ahead and run this thing. I know you can't give me details on any of the stuff you're doing. I'm not asking that. But where does this go? Because you've got abilities to do other things with this. So I didn't know what you can possibly mention that this could possibly have a future somehow, some way.
No comment. I will say that ClickCon has the ability to take on a life of its own. I have a ton of thought processes on that, but step 1 is doing it the first time and making it work and finding what bugs there might be, if any, and stomping them out.
I'm telling you now, I didn't have any. It was fantastic.
And then once we're done with it, it'll be in the fall. So we're all basically, well, I'm not. Jesus, my fall is ridiculous. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But my fall is ridiculous. I don't know about the rest of these guys, but it'll basically be in the fall. We'll be focusing on getting the books done to the printer and into people's hands as fast as we can. But then you're talking about, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. It's like, okay, it's mellow time before we figure out what we're doing next.
And I know
it never is mellow time. I don't know why you're saying that. That is not true.
I know.
Don't be lying to everybody now.
I know. Listen,
just the last time I didn't work on something in terms of Kickstarter, it has been. I cannot tell you when I haven't.
Yeah.
It's been a year straight of my poor family is just like another Kickstarter. I'm constantly working on something. I don't know how you have downtime. So you need to come back and I'm just going to work.
No, there's no downtime. Literally yesterday, I was laying in bed because basically that's all I do for like 2 hours when I wake up is I'm just with my phone like this and I'm editing art and I'm sending messages. And that's how I start my business day is just do some things, guys. And as I'm doing this, I had this ridiculous idea and I was like, I have to do this. And so I just started sending messages out to artists. And I'm like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? They're like, fuck yeah, I want to do this. And so whoosh, all of a sudden this new thing is born out of this little nugget of an idea. And it's like, oh my God, this is going to take so much time to do. But it has to be done. And so that project is now in the works in addition to Ursa Minor, which is going to be in October, in addition to Underwear Day, which is August 5th, in addition to. It's like, no, there's no stopping. This doesn't stop.
Once you're in Kickstarter life, you don't get out of Kickstarter life. It's like we don't talk about it.
I know. That is so true.
And that's the last thing that I want
to something else.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's the last thing that I want to kind of bring up on all this is with current situation, everything that's going on outside, that we're starting to reopen and then shut down again and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
This was incredibly important to go ahead and have this event, not only because, it pays the bills and everything, of course, because, you're not in this for free. I think we pay Steph every once in a while. Is that correct? You pay him something. I don't know how much he could possibly get doing as much as he does.
I send him butterflies.
Oh, okay. That's it.
I don't.
He's been messing with me a lot, so I gotta rip a little bit whenever I get a chance. So my point is, with everything that's going on in the world, it's incredibly significant to do something like this, because this shows that indies never went pencils down. Indies never did anything to go ahead and slow down on this. In fact, the pace was picked up by those who saw this vision to go ahead and go through with this. And the three of you saw that vision. So I kind of want to go ahead and talk about that real quick, starting with Tom, is how important is it to go ahead and keep on this track?
Well, it's tricky because you don't really know how bad it can be in the world yet, because we haven't really figured that out. We're like you said, we're kind of opening and closing, and COVID's up and COVID's down, and it's just, no one knows what's going on. But what we've seen from this first, whatever it is, 4 months of this, is that regardless of what's happening, people want and need to be entertained, and they need a diversion from all of the craziness that's happening. And so anything that we can do from, because basically, yeah, we're making comics, but we're essentially entertainers. I mean, we're not actors in that regard, but we're entertainers, and we have to bring the products, and we have to come and talk to the people like this. And then when you can do an event like ClickCon, it takes all of that to a completely different level. It brings an excitement level that is unique to just doing campaigns. And I think that I think the key element is people need art, and art is writing, art is TV, art is movies, art is sculpting, whatever. And that element has not stopped in this first so many months of start and stop economy. That nothing's changed there. People they may not be at work, but they're coming home and losing themselves in Netflix and whatever else. So we're a part of that entertainment community now. And an event like ClickCon should be sort of one of those big, hopefully, one of those big, events that people not only look forward to, but when it's done, they remember.
And that makes complete sense on that. And we're getting a lot of comments now with this. CB, what are your thoughts on it?
I think Tom hit the nail on the head. And I just come back to actually a very simple thing that seems to happen every Monday for me. My wife will say, "Are you doing your show tonight?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I am." She's like, "Good. I think you should. I think people want this. I think they want art. I think they want to see you do things." And I enjoy it. And it's a good way to interact. And I think that is like a microcosm of the big picture. People like that outlet. They, a show like yours, Phil, where people can come here and they can comment. We can talk about projects and art. And, like on Monday nights, I can do art. I think it's a good thing. And, for me, it's funny. When all of this hit, I wasn't sure what to expect. And, Tom was talking about the Kickstarter world, and I was leery about launching into the Suck 5. And I thought, you know what? I think I even asked both Wendy and Tom, gosh, should I do it? And I'm glad I did it. That ended up being far and away my most successful campaign from Into the Suck. And it was supposed to be at a time when this isn't supposed to work, which told me people still wanted it. They needed an escape. They needed something. And it's always an escape for me as an artist and as a creator. I get lost in that world. I never tire of drawing, even though it never ever stops sometimes. When I'm not drawing, like Might, the interior for Might, now I'm doing a cover or I'm doodling. I'm always drawing and I'm always creating. And, I want to see what other people are doing too. I love seeing, the swag that Wendy has. I love when Tom shares, the artwork that he's coming in, because it's invigorating. It breathes life. As an artist, one of my favorite things is to look at another artist's sketchbook, because it inspires me. So I love seeing all these projects. I love being part of them, and being able to promote them. So I think, this is a good, if there's one good thing that's happened in all this, is that, there is this sort of want and need for art. As Tom said, the writing, the creating, the coloring, all of it. I think it's been a great thing.
And I completely agree on that on all ends. It's one of those things that it's a need that everybody they need to be able to see that there's people out here who can weather the storm with them, because not everybody's doing this alone. And again, that brings up what you three are kind of doing, is you're actually working together to show everybody that you're not alone in this. And that's very cool. And Wendy, what about your thoughts?
It's the same. I mean, I think both Tom and CB explained exactly how I feel. We all feel this way, I think, as creators during this time. And it was just such a fluke that the online con happened in January, and in March everything gets shut down. But I was so thankful, because my stuff was getting shipped out at the end of March. So people have been home for like a week and a half, and all of a sudden they're getting boxes, and the happiness it brought them was like, I cried, because I would get these beautiful messages, just like, thank you so much. You don't even know how hard this has been, and your box arrived, and it was just like this little explosion of magic that came out. And to me, if I can make somebody else happy, that's what it's all about. So, it makes me laugh, because like my comic series is so dark, and yet I am so like the unicorns and rainbows and glitter and sparkles, and I just want everything happy and wonderful. And then this dark stuff comes out of me, and it just cracks me up, because my husband's like, who are you? And what have you done with her? Because this is so not who you are. But it is, because it's a part of me that obviously needs to be expressed. But I really love just bringing people happiness, and if I can do that through my Naughty Fairies, if I can do that with my Sireness story that's coming, any way that I can make somebody's day, make them happy. And if it's through entertaining, if I can bring them, emotions that obviously they need to deal with, if it makes them cry, but they needed to cry, and my story did that, that's a good thing too. So I will take any kind of joy that I can bring for somebody else, and happily give it. So, I mean, I just think it's wonderful.
And that is great, because that's what it should be. And too many people are worried about getting that top spot and number one and blue ribbon and this, that, and the other. Whenever, if you'd work together and everybody lifts each other up, I mean, you never know what the possibilities are on that one. But sometimes it starts with just one or two or three, and you can see what happens from there. So it's refreshing to see that someone still has humanity left in them, even through all this mess that we're going through outside.
Yeah, it's great to get, like when he was talking about messages, I get messages too, and then we all see people do their mail calls, and they're throwing their stuff up on Facebook, and like, look, I got my stuff today, and this is so cool. Look at all my, my poker chips and whatever. And, I don't know if people realize how I don't know, maybe, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, but and it still is like, I can't, it's still weird to me that people are excited to get what I do. Like it's very strange. And I don't know if that's the same for like the guys that are drawing Batman or whatever, but for me, it's like these guys are they're not just buying my stuff. They're then taking the time to lay it out, take a picture of it, and go on their Facebook page and be like, look, I got this cool thing. And Tom did a great job, and the artists and so on and so on. All you guys that do that, you can look at the smile on Wendy's face right now. That's the result that happens when you guys are doing that.
Just thinking about what you're saying just makes me happy. You know, I mean, that's, to me, I don't think people realize as a creator how happy that makes us. You know, we make them happy and they're sharing all their stuff. Exactly. You know, we do this and we're making others happy, but they don't realize how happy they make us by doing that. It's such a little gesture, but I mean, it just warms my heart that it's like, oh, yay, I made somebody's day. They were having a bad day and now they're not, because they've got something cool to look at and they're sharing it. You know, it just makes us happy. At least it just does.
And seeing people's excitement, like, you know, like December when she's like, you know, so-and-so is killing it. Like, I feel that energy come from her, and like, it just, man, or anybody who posts and they're like, you know, I got this and you need to check out that, or it's infectious in a good way in this time. And I don't know, it's what drives us, I think, as creators to want to do more. You know, it's one thing to be liked. It's one thing to, you know, have people buy your stuff, but to have that genuine excitement from something that you believe in, because I don't think any of us put out anything surely for the monetary value. You know, it's not like, oh, I have to do this because it's going to make a boatload, which hasn't happened yet. But we create things and characters, like Wendy, you were saying, like, you know, it's a different part of you. You know, there's December. See, I feel that. You know, I feel that body slam, December. But it drives me. It makes me want to do that next book, that next page, that next cover, to see if I can one up and get one more like dose of that. So it's really appreciated more so than I think any of us could ever really express here or in words. So
I find it almost addicting.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that it's an addicting feeling to be appreciated and cared about the way this community does. Should I not be reading what's going on down there?
We're just doing some wrestling.
So I mean, I really find oh, I love you, girl. I really, it's an addicting feeling when you have a successful project and you want the next project to be more successful than the first one, and you just keep going, because that feeling of, one, you're making something that people want and that's really good, you want to top that and you want to keep getting better and better, and it pushes us as creators to be better and better.
And it does, and that's, we've come full circle to where this all started with ClickCon and everything, because everyone feels the energy and the passion and the respect from every one of you three. So now you've got ClickCon that you're going to be putting on. How much energy is going to be put in there? I mean, you can just imagine how much energy is going to be put into that. And we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't have anything happening before that.
Tom's got a small book that's coming out in 8 days. In 8 days, it'll be coming out. The Critter 10-year anniversary, which everybody needs to be aware of, will be on Kickstarter. 1 through 4 will be
zero through 4. 0 through 4.
0 through 4. I'm sorry, 0 through 4. So the whole thing that started BDI and everything, the whole, Critter is Critter's daddy and everything. This is where you need to get it right here.
Yeah, it's a little freaky to do a big, like, this is a big campaign for me. I mean, we've done campaigns where we've done upwards of $30,000, but our goal is always lower. And doing this with these hardcovers and producing these trade paperbacks is like, oh my God. I mean, this is a big number that we need. I think it's very doable, and I think the presentation of it is going to be great. The covers that are coming from Ula Moss and Carl Liversidge and Jen Broomall and Hedwin Zaldivar and Nia Ruffino is doing something. Nia, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you for what you're doing. I think there's going to be some really great stuff that is going to, hopefully catch people's attention, imagination, and we'll be able to take Critter up a notch during her 10-year anniversary before we get back to number 22 and doing regular issues next year.
Very cool. Now, we've had a ton of information on this. We've gone through ClickCon. Everybody's excited. I think everybody in the audience is ready to go ahead and get some form of a link where they can click and say, remind me whenever this thing hits, but it's not ready yet. But
no, we're still a couple of months out on that.
But I can tell you right now, just keep in mind, keep watching what these three are doing, and keep watching posts and keep watching everything that's going on.
There is a ClickCon Facebook group. So
Yes.
if you guys want to make sure you're getting the direct information every time it's posted, because we all post on our own as well, but there is that central hub. So go to ClickCon, look for that logo right there. Join the group. There's almost 200 people in there already. So join the group, and you're going to make sure that you get those announcements as we post in the group.
And I just want to bring up real quick, Meredith is actually part of the INDEEvent, which is we're running under that banner for tonight and tomorrow. They are the ones who want to say, hey, you've got a show, you want to do a panel, you want to talk about your crowdfunding or anything. You would normally do it on your own, and everybody just does their own thing. We're all doing this under this banner for this weekend to go ahead and show that we can come together and we can make a difference in the indie community. So I just want to say thank you to Meredith for that, because she is a part of that as well.
Thank you, Meredith.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've had a ton of information, like I said, on this. Everybody's excited to get ready to go on this. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up with, we're going to give each one of you the full screen on here to go ahead and tell us who you are and where to find you and what we're to be expecting in the near future. Tom, you're up first.
Yeah, so like we just talked about, July 18th, it is the celebration of Critter's 10-year anniversary. We are doing a hardcover and a new trade paperback as well, because all of our trade paperbacks are basically sold out. So we're going to have a hardcover edition, a new trade paperback edition, multiple covers on each, so you can pick and choose your covers. Dust jacket specials on the hardcover. There will be some special Critter #1 reprints as well, including what Nia Ruffino is doing for us. It's going to be really, really fun. That will go from July 18th into August. August 5th, however, we're going to have Underwear Day. It is not going to be a Kickstarter like we did on Bikini Day, but we will have Underwear Day. We will have a special variant Penny for Your Soul cover for Underwear Day on August 5th. And then that will be leading us well into ClickCon, which is September 12th. And we'll be launching, that's a Saturday. So we'll be launching ClickCon September 12th, which will lead us into what Big Dog Inc. is doing in the fall, which is Ursa Minor Nocturnal Activities Kickstarter in October. So that's just the little glimpse of the fall. There's so much else coming in the fall. It's ridiculous. But the focus right now is Critter. It's her 10-year anniversary. It's Big Dog Inc.'s 10-year anniversary. This is our first ever hardcover. It'll be the first 5 issues of Critter. We're looking at putting the Aspen bonus material in there as well. Character designs, cover galleries. I have 7 artists who have been a part of Critter over the last 10 years that are all going to be hand signing stretch goal trading cards. So there's going to be a ton of autographs that you guys can get on this as well. So it should be really fun. July 18th, noon Eastern. Help us get a good start for our what could be our biggest campaign ever.
Very cool. And now we're going to bring up CB Zane, which is the heart and soul of BDI, according to him.
Well, not exactly, but I'm glad that I've been part of it, and I've been part of the Critterverse, which is really cool. And I was glad Tom said they were going to include some of the Aspen backup stuff, because I know I had a part in that. So congratulations to Tom. 10 years, just killing it and getting stronger and better, and being such an advocate for the indie world. Big Dog Inc. is no joke. It's an awesome company. You know, I've made a lot of friends through Big Dog Inc. Tom, and, you know, all the other artists that I've got to meet and work with. So, you know, I wish him the best of luck, and Wendy as well. So as far as I'm going, I am currently wrapping up Scorpiana 2. We are just under a week, 6 days remaining in the campaign. It's a really cool comic book. I actually sold out of the first issue of every copy that we made. I think I shouldn't say sold out, but I think there's less than 20 copies remaining of variant covers altogether. So just 20 copies of that. And Scorpiana 2, I think, is doing well. We got some cool add-ons that people can grab. One that I think is very unique to just about any Kickstarter I've seen out there, which is a translite print, which is something that can go on a light board or a light box frame, and you can create kind of your own kind of movie poster like you see outside the movie theaters. So I think that's a really cool thing that's being offered right now, along with some really cool covers. So Scorpiana 2 is wrapping up in 6 days. I hope everyone will check it out and let people know. She's an exciting character. We refer to her as the deadliest woman in comics. Into the Suck, I just wrapped that up about a month ago. That is going to print any day, and then all the mailings begin for that. So Into the Suck, that's number 5, and number 6 will launch probably sometime early winter, late fall, I'm thinking. But stay tuned for that. And then of course ClickCon, which deals with a character of mine that I hope everyone is kind of gonna fall in love with her. I think she's a really fun character, and I have a lot of cool things planned for her if people receive her well. So you can always find me on Facebook, CB Zane. I'm also part of Outpost 426 Studios on Facebook, Scorpiana page on Facebook, and an Into the Suck comic book on Facebook. So, and then there's Scorpiana.com as well. So I think that's about it for me. I want to thank everybody for, you know, tuning in and all the awesome comments and just being great people. Keep being good humans. And
All
Phil,
right.
thank you.
Oh, hey, thank you. And here is Wendy.
How do you follow that? That was so nice. So I want to thank Phil for having us on the show. I want to congratulate Tom on Critter, because I've been following it for so long, and I'm so excited for your project and for BDI and everything. It's just been such an inspiration. CB, I am so excited and so proud of Scorpiana 2 and how well it's doing. It is so exciting, and I love the first one, and I'm excited for the second. All right, so Naughty Fairies Stripper Assassins number 4 is currently on Kickstarter. We're doing great. We are so close to reaching our $20,000 goal, which is the challenge coin, which it just turned out so pretty, and it's going to be so shiny, and I can't wait to reach that goal so that we can unlock that. I have about 8 days left, and I am so thankful for all the backers who've supported the project and everybody who's watched tonight. And it's just so wonderful to be in the indie world and so cared about in terms of how we all work together. So I just want to thank you all for that. You can find me on Facebook at wendyshaner.com. You can find the Naughty Fairy page is at Fairy Assassins. I also have it's NFSA, Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins, formerly Comic Art Groupie. It's kind of a private group. So if you're interested in that, you can message me and I can get you into that. I'm on Twitter and on Instagram as Comic Art Groupie. So that is my info. Thank you guys so much. And you, thank you, December. I just, you know what? You guys are amazing and you make me want to be a better person. So thank you all for your support.
Excellent. Amazing panel on here. And before we go ahead and I'm going to drop them back to the backstage. Before that happens, though, I've got to go ahead and point out that I'm surprised that Tom hasn't mentioned this, but he is the one guest that I've had on here more than anyone else on any show, actually, between this and Unscripted. If we don't even count Unscripted, he's been on here 6 times now. And there's more coming in the future. So be watching for that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop y'all back to the back. If y'all want to stay back here for a moment, I'll be with y'all in just a moment. Let me do my closing statement. But thank y'all very much for being here tonight.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we had an amazing interview with them and got to learn a lot about ClickCon and everything, and enjoyed some of the best people in the business as far as I'm concerned. So I always have a closing statement, and tonight's not going to be any different on that. So you always think of something as you're going along, is what is the way I do it. I never, write it down or anything like that. So what I'd like to say tonight is strength in numbers. So whenever you think about that, you think, okay, so what's the point? If you have more people in there, it's just more competition. Not necessarily. There are a lot of people who can do things on their own, and there's a lot of people who can do things better in a group. But whenever you start going ahead and getting it into your head that maybe if we started working together on a lot more around, there's no telling what we can accomplish. You've got 3 of the biggest names in the independent community that are on this panel. And they've got some great projects singled out on their own. So coming together with this, I can't even fathom what they're going to come up with on this one. All I know is that their main priority is us. So strength in numbers. Hey, like I said, it all starts with one pebble. You throw a pebble out there in the water, you get a ripple. You get enough of those ripples, maybe we'll start making a difference in humanity around here. Until then, Demon Phil, Comics More New Jersey. Keep it indie, y'all.